My name is Susan. As I sit in my cozy downtown studio, looking out at the city lights, I'm reminded of how far I've come. It all started with a shattered dream, a broken heart, and a journey that changed my life forever. A few months ago, I was on the verge of marriage. I was engaged to Mark, a man I thought I knew inside out. We had been together for almost 4 years and had been engaged for 8 months. Our wedding was set for October, just 2 months away. We had booked the venue, ordered the invitations, and paid the catering deposits. We even argued about the playlist, thinking that was the biggest decision left to make. We had $31,000 in a joint account labeled the wedding fund. My parents, who are hard-working and traditional, contributed $10,000. Mark's parents, more laid back but still supportive, gave $5,000. The rest came from us, mostly me. I was putting in around $2,200 a month, while Mark contributed $300 here and there when he could. I didn't mind. I told myself love wasn't about keeping score. Mark worked in real estate, often with long hours, client dinners, and open houses on weekends. I trusted him completely. He would occasionally mention his ex-girlfriend, Lisa. They dated in college and broke up when she moved to New York. He said they were just friends and would grab coffee if she was in town. I believed him. After all, everyone has a past. But that belief was shattered on a Tuesday evening in late July. I came home around 6 o'clock to find Mark sitting on the couch, still in his work clothes, holding his phone like it was a heavy burden. When he looked up at me, I knew something was wrong even before he spoke. His eyes were red, and his face was pale. "We need to talk," he said. Those 4 words sent a chill down my spine. I didn't sit next to him. I took the armchair across the room, as if my body was trying to create distance from what was about to happen. "What's going on?" I asked. He inhaled deeply. "I've been seeing Lisa," he said. The room seemed to tilt. "Seeing? Like coffee?" I repeated. He shook his head. "No, like seeing her for the past 3 months." My hands started to shake as I realized that while we were finalizing table layouts, tasting cakes, and telling people our wedding was soon, he had been rekindling his relationship with his ex. She had moved back to Seattle in April, got a job here, and they reconnected. It started with lunch, then walks, and last week, they kissed more than once. He said he still had old feelings for her. I stared at him, trying to reconcile the man in front of me with the one who had promised me a future. "So, what does this mean?" I asked quietly. He finally looked at me. "I can't marry you right now. I need space to figure things out with Lisa, to see if what we had is real or just nostalgia. 2 months before our wedding, you want to pause our engagement to explore things with your ex-girlfriend?" I said slowly. He started crying and said he was confused. "I love you, but I need to be sure before I commit to marriage." I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, life seemed to go on as normal. A kid was riding his bike in circles, and cars were passing by. But inside, my future was falling apart. "How much time?" I asked, still facing the glass. "Maybe a month," he said. "We can postpone the wedding and tell people it's next year." That's when something inside me went still. "Okay," I said. His eyes widened. "Really?" "Yeah," I replied. "Do what you need to do. Figure things out." I didn't say I was okay with it, I just gave him the freedom he asked for. I didn't cry that night. It wasn't because I wasn't devastated, but because I had already started to detach from the relationship. He stood up, looking like he wanted to come closer, as if my calm gave him the impression that this was just a temporary setback. "Susan, I'm sorry," he said, his voice raw. I held up my hand. Don't try to make this easier for yourself." I told him I was going to stay at my friend Emily's place. He panicked and asked if we could talk more, but I told him he had already made the decision when he asked for space. I went to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag, and started packing as if it was just another business trip. I packed t-shirts, jeans, toiletries, my charger, and my passport, thinking I might need to go far to find peace. As I was packing, he hovered in the doorway, saying he loved me. I stopped zipping my bag and looked up at him. If you loved me, you wouldn't be asking me to pause my life while you try out your past. This isn't fair, I said, finishing the zip with a final tug. He asked where I was going, but I didn't tell him. I walked past him into the living room, grabbed my laptop and charger, and stopped at the front door. I hope Lisa is worth it, I told him. You don't get to come back and pretend this was just a phase. Then I left. When I arrived at Emily's place, she opened the door in sweatpants, her hair in a messy bun. One look at my face, and her expression changed. "Oh my God, what happened?" she whispered. I didn't answer right away. I just walked past her into the living room and sat down. Emily brought me a glass of water without asking. I thought, this is what real love looks like. Not grand declarations or wedding plans, but someone being there when you're falling. When I told her everything, she was shocked. He said he needs space to figure out his feelings with his ex? She repeated, as if the words didn't make sense. Then she asked about the money. That's when I realized the betrayal wasn't just emotional, it had a financial aspect too. At 3 a.m. While Emily slept, I lay in the guest bed, staring at the ceiling fan. I opened my banking app and saw the $31,000 in the wedding fund. I clicked into the deposits and saw that I had contributed $18,000, his parents $5,000, and my parents $10,000. His personal deposits were only about $3,000 in total. I knew that either of us could wipe the account clean. I was filled with fear because I couldn't trust a man who could look me in the eye and ask for space to be with his ex with our shared money. The next morning, I called in sick. I needed to act before grief slowed me down. At 9 a.m. When the bank opened, I was there, my hair still damp from the shower and my sunglasses on. I told the teller I needed to withdraw $18,000. She didn't ask why, she just processed the withdrawal. When she placed the envelope of cash in front of me, it felt like 4 years of trust turned into paper. I walked to my personal bank and deposited the money. It wasn't revenge, it was self-preservation. I was reclaiming what was mine. I went back to the apartment. It was midday, and the silence was eerie. I used my key to enter, and for a moment, I expected to hear Mark's voice. But there was nothing. The living room looked the same, with our throw blanket on the couch and the wedding binder on the coffee table, a cruel reminder of what could have been. I went to the bedroom and packed the rest of my important things, documents, jewelry, sentimental gifts from my parents, and a framed photo from my graduation. It took me 3 hours. When I was done, I stood in the kitchen and wrote a note. I took back my contribution from the wedding fund. You can keep the rest. Good luck figuring things out. I left it beside the wedding binder. I blocked Mark's number, Instagram, and Facebook. As I carried my last bag out, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I knew that if he thought I would wait for him, he didn't know me at all. By Thursday afternoon, the apartment felt like a museum of lost hopes. Every object reminded me of Mark. So, I decided to go somewhere memory couldn't follow me. On Friday morning, I walked into a travel agency. I told the agent I wanted to go to Europe as soon as possible. She raised an eyebrow and asked if I wanted to visit one city or several. I said I didn't want to stay still. By the time I left, I had a loose itinerary and a departure date. I was going to London, Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, and Rome for 5 weeks, with just one backpack. I paid the total of $5,000 without hesitation. I still had nearly $10,000 left in my account, and for the first time, it was all mine. I only told Emily, my parents, and my brother about my trip. I changed my voicemail message to say I was out of the country and to email me if it was urgent. I unblocked Mark's number so his calls would go to voicemail. I landed in London on Monday morning, exhausted and heartbroken. Jet lag and heartbreak were a terrible combination. I checked into a small hotel and slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, I felt a bit steadier. That evening, I walked to Tower Bridge before sunset. The sky was a beautiful mix of orange and violet, and the river reflected the colors like a mirror. I took a photo of the moment and posted it with the caption "New chapter starting now." An hour later, I was surprised to see 200 likes and comments from friends, co-workers, and distant relatives asking if I was in London and what happened to my wedding. I didn't answer, I just kept moving. The next day, I visited the British Museum, Camden Market, and had fish and chips at a pub. I was so happy that I almost cried. I kept my phone on airplane mode most of the time, only turning it on once a day to post. By Friday, I was in Paris. I posted a photo from the top of the Eiffel Tower with the caption, "Turns out you don't need a partner to enjoy romance." That post broke Mark. When I turned off airplane mode, my phone was flooded with missed calls, texts, and notifications. His texts started polite, then got irritated, and finally panicked. I listened to one voicemail where his voice was full of anger and fear, and he was in tears. I deleted it and turned airplane mode back on. In Amsterdam, I posted a photo from a canal boat with the caption "Freedom looks good on me." I got 500 likes, and people I hadn't spoken to in years commented, saying I was living my best life and Mark didn't deserve me. That night, I checked my messages again. There were over 80 messages, and the tone had changed to desperation. Mark said he made a mistake, that Lisa and he didn't work out, and that he realized I was the one he wanted. I didn't respond. Instead, I posted a photo from the Anne Frank house with the caption "This perspective changes everything." More messages flooded in, including one that made me laugh. "How am I supposed to plan a wedding when you're in Europe ignoring me?" In Barcelona, I stayed in a hostel to save money and to be around people. I met 3 Australians, 2 Canadian women, and we shared tapas and sangria. It was the first time I laughed without forcing it. I posted a group photo with the caption "New places, new people. Life keeps moving." That post made Mark even more frantic. He called me at 2 a.m. I answered because I had had a couple of glasses of sangria. He said he called Emily's office and told the receptionist it was an emergency. He said he ended things with Lisa and wanted me back. I told him there was nothing to fix, that he had made his choice. He got angry and said I was throwing away 4 years, but I told him he was the one who did that when he chose Lisa. I hung up and blocked his number. He sent long, rambling emails, apologizing and saying he'd go to couples therapy. I didn't reply. My follower count on Instagram jumped past 2,000, but I barely noticed. His friends also messaged me, saying he was really hurting and that 4 years deserved a second chance. I finally responded to one, saying he had 4 years to choose me and he chose someone else. In Rome, I met a woman named Isabella. She lived in Rome, liked my captions, and offered to show me around. We had coffee, then dinner, and walked through streets tourists never see. Nothing romantic happened, but something in me healed. I posted a photo of us at a street market with the caption "Good company makes everything lighter." That post was the breaking point. My mom called me the next morning. She never calls when I'm traveling. She said Mark called them and said I abandoned him and took the wedding money to Europe. I told her everything, and she was quiet for a long time. Then she said she and my dad supported me completely. Mark also asked if they wanted their $10,000 back, and my mom told him to keep it as a lesson in loyalty. That night, I posted a sunset selfie in Rome with the caption "Yes, I'm in Europe. Yes, I'm alone. Yes, I'm doing great. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. Here's to new beginnings." Jenna texted me an hour later, saying the post was everywhere and Mark's friends were furious. I came home in late September. I added Prague and Vienna at the last minute because I wasn't ready to go back to my old life. When I landed in Seattle, I expected a big emotional moment, but instead, I felt calm. I didn't go back to the old apartment. I ended the lease early and paid the penalty. I moved into a small studio downtown. I heard through other people that Mark and Lisa tried to make it work for about 3 weeks after I left. The wedding was officially cancelled 2 weeks after I flew to Europe. Mark told people it was mutual, but most didn't believe him. A month after I got back, my manager called me into her office. She said whatever happened over the summer had made me sharper and more confident. 2 weeks later, I got promoted. Mark tried to reach out one more time, asking for closure. I deleted his email. His mother called my mom, but my mom shut it down, saying I was happy. I saw Mark once at a coffee shop near Pike Place. We made eye contact, but there was nothing left to say. People ask if I'm bitter, but I'm not. I'm grateful. He showed me who he was before it was too late. I learned that being calm doesn't mean being weak, and walking away doesn't mean losing. I used the money I had left after the trip to buy a car I'd always wanted. It's not flashy, but it makes me smile every time I get behind the wheel. I still message Isabella sometimes. I've learned that I'm good company, and I don't need to wait for someone to decide if I'm enough. I already know I am.